Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Masters of the Universe Tuesday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Trapjaw. Let's get into it! Let's begin with a look at the packaging. And here we have the brand new Masterverse packaging. 30 points of articulation, 6 and up Mattel Masterverse. And you got the kind of exploding rocks reminiscent of the original packaging. And then on the front here, you've got some very nice artwork of Trapjaw and a window showcasing at least a partial view of the figure, Masters of the Universe, New Eternia, Trapjaw. And on this side, we've got some art that wraps around from the front, featuring Trapjaw on the front here and back around the side. And then you've got Battle Armor He-Man and Triclops fighting, it looks like, on the drawbridge of Castle Grayskull. And then on this side, just Trapjaw artwork. Then on the back, we've got what looks to be practical photography with a background, it looks like, perhaps. And then we've got some close-up views of some of his features. And then Trapjaw, evil and armed for combat. Victory was in reach as Trapjaw raised his cybernetic claw over Man-at-Arms. As He-Man summoned the power of Grayskull, Trapjaw suddenly crossed dimensions into a shattered world. New Eternia. So it seems like he might perhaps be from the regular universe. I don't know. Also available, each sold separately, subject to availability. Color and decorations may vary. Mattel empowering the next generation through play. And then here is the cross-sale Sorceress Teela, Man-at-Arms, Trapjaw, and Skeletor. On the bottom, we have small print, fine print, legalese print, made in Vietnam print, MattelShop.com print, contents, one figure accessories, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode. Also, the assortment number. That, my friends, is a look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And we'll start off with the accessories. Here we have handy dandy tweezers. And first up, let's take a look at his claw. And I have to say, it does look like it has a nice, like, gunmetal paint app for it. And it does have some nice riveted details. The teeth. And most importantly, look at this big peg. So big improvement over the Revelation Trapjaw. But also we have movement on the claw hand, so he can actually grab a hold of stuff with it. And I also want to say that this comes apart and you can, yeah, it comes off and you can put this in place of the jaw that comes on the figure if you want to. And we might look at that in a few minutes. Next up, we have his hook. And again, nice molded details. This one looks to be maybe molded in color rather than paint, but I could be mistaken. But it does have a little bit of that swirly twirly look to it, but it just could be where the paint was slopped a little bit. And you do notice it does have the hook here for the belt, and we'll look at that momentarily also. And here is another accessory, a short sword or dagger maybe, and you can see it's got that nice ram kind of looking head on it for the top of the hilt and the hand guard. And then it's got, I'm not sure, it may be molded in this color and then has the silver paint on it, because that's really the way that it looks. It looks like the silver is actually a paint app. So that's really cool. And you notice here it has a bit of a peg on the end of it. It's a pommel, but it's also, you can put it in his mechanical arm. And the last, when we look at as we look at the figure, we'll look at this last accessory as well. And let's take a look at the figure himself. And I mean, it really doesn't get more modernly classic looking than this head sculpt. I mean, this really takes me back to that original Masters of the Universe figure. And he's even got the piece where the string or rope goes through and he can zip line down on his helmet. And it does have some nice paint apps in there as well. Also, the jaw is movable. It's a little stiff, but not too bad. And then you can see he's got some detail inside the mouth as well. Then we've got his, I don't know exactly what you call this, but anyway, it's all piece of his harness. Now, used to it was just a piece that fit over and then the arm clipped on it to hold it in place, but now it's a full harness. It goes around this arm as well. And then his belt, nice detailing there. It's all molded in color. And then you'll see it's got places here for the accessories to store, and they are further back than the Revelation trap jaw when he's wearing the more classic looking stuff. And then, you know, it's regular, the standard issue, you know, tab and slot and stuff for the belt. It's standard issue for all Masters of the Universe, really, ever since the originals came out. And then we have a little piece right here where the dagger can also store. He's got some paint apps here along the arm. Not really so much on this arm. Maybe it may have some paint on it, because I can see there are pieces of it that do look shinier than the rest, but just molded detail on this is excellent. And then here we have his last accessory, which is his blaster gun, and it's got a few little paint apps on it here, and again the hook for storage, and just nice detailing overall. Then we have his trunks, which are molded in color, and then we have his legs, which I'm gonna assume will be reused. If they're not reused, they may be reused from that Revelation Roboto, but I don't think so. But I could be wrong. But nice detailing, nice paint apps here. Looks to be mostly molded in black plastic, especially below the knee. And then we've got some paint app here, and possibly paint app here. So the whole thing from this cut down is probably all molded in black. And then we've got these few little paint apps here. And then, you know, paint on the harness. And it really looks good. And as far as the last accessory, it does, you just have to work on them a little bit. They do fit in there kind of tight, which is good until you go to remove them. So give me just a second. Alright, so here we go. We'll set him out of the way for just a second. And then here's the last accessory. You can see it's got a bit of a bump in there, I guess you could say. So once you get it in there, it holds it in place. And that's the way that works. And that's actually the way all of them are, you know. Well, at least these two. The sword doesn't have that. And then as far as removing this jaw, it probably would be easier to pop the head off and do it. So let's do that. So if you don't want this classic jaw on there, it just pops right off. You can see it's got these two posts in it, and then the ports on either side of the jaw. And then as far as replacing it with this, if you wanted to, just kind of pops off the same way. And it, again, it's got these posts, and they just port in to the sides of the jaw here. And that looks okay, but it's not real tight, and it does come up there a good bit. I don't really care for that, but again, you know, it's an option. So if you want this more modern looking jaw to it, and you don't mind it gapping a little bit right there like that, and then it just being loose and going up too far, if you don't mind all that, then, you know, it's a cool feature, and it does give you some display options. So if you decide to go that way with it, you most certainly can, but I prefer this classic look and how it just fits on there. The only thing that's really missing from this is that spring gimmick that the original had, where you opened it up and then it would snap back closed. So that was a pretty cool feature for this particular figure. And as you can see, as I said before, you know, the belt has little places for it, whichever attachment he's not currently using of the three in his arm. You know, they do hook into his belt, and that includes this one as well. So that's a neat option. And then goes right back to the classic figure. Now this is new for this figure, and I like it. It's pretty cool, and you know, the dagger, short sword, whatever you want to call it, just kind of slides into place there. You could probably make it go down a little further if you wanted to, but I think it's fine like that. And again, I said it would go in there. I might have been telling a story. Alright, so you can get it in there. It really doesn't go all the way without forcing it, really. And I don't want to do that because I don't want to stretch this port out. So, but he can also, of course, hold it in his regular hand. Well, I say he can. I said he can, and now he won't hold it. So he can hold it like that, or, you know, you can try and fit the attachments for the arm in this hand like he's trying to put it on there. And then, of course, these two, just like the gun, they just kind of fit in there. And I have to say, Trapjaw is probably one of my favorite original Masters of the Universe figures. And of course, it can stay like that, or you can rotate it around. So, but I really like Trapjaw. Let's take a look at his articulation real quick. He can look up that far. He looks down that far, and the head's on a dumbbell that goes down into the neck, which is attached to the torso. He's got chicken neck. He's got waggle. He can do the full exorcist. At the shoulder, 360 degree rotation. Arm can come up not quite 90 degrees. 360 degree rotation at this upper bicep. Double hinged, pinless elbow. It gives you that much bend. Then at the mid torso, where the chest and the abdomen meet, he does have this cut, which gives him some hula, and it will give him a 360 degree rotation as well. There's a cut at the waist that also gives a 360 degree rotation, but when you do that, expect for the belt to pop loose just like that. And I'll probably have to fix that off camera. And on the mechanical arm, it's a little bit different. And you can't really see in there, but it's like this is on like a ball joint dumbbell type deal. It doesn't, you know, it's a post coming from the torso with a ball on the end of it, I believe. And you really can't see in there, and it doesn't feel like it wants to come off. But it has some bit of butterfly movement. It does rotate 360 degrees. He can only raise it that far though. Now at the elbow, it is on a ball joint, and you can see that right in there. So he can straighten it all the way up. He gets that much bend, and it will swivel around at that point as well. Now, as far as the hips go, he will give you the full splits, and he does have that pull down hinge in the hip. So I do believe that's going to be a thing going forward from the previous wave to this one with the Prince Adam, Revelation Prince Adam. So I'll fix that later. Cut at the upper thigh gives you 360 degree rotation. Double hinged pinless knee. And it will give you that much bend. There's also a boot cut at the mid shin that gives you another 360 degree rotation. At the ankle, bends down that far, tilts down that far, up that far, and it does have forward facing pin for rocker. And that, my friends, is a look at Trapjaw and his accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, New Eternia Trapjaw with the Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, Revelation Trapjaw, and the Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, Revelation Triclops. For our final set of comparisons, here we have the Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, New Eternia Trapjaw, with from the Marvel Legends series, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee. From G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. From Star Wars The Black Series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper. And our final Masterverse comparison, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, New Eternia Trapjaw, I have to say this is a fantastic figure. It's a nice take on the classic design and more modern aesthetics. And you know, the face sculpt and the head on this one, it doesn't get much more classic than that. And just the overall design, it takes me back to that original 80s Trapjaw figure. You know, they didn't have to include stuff like the zip line piece on his helmet that, you know, back in the day you run string through it and he zips down it, and how does he get off of it? I don't know. He must cut it with that hook that he has for a hand, or clamp it with the jaws, or bite it with the trap jaw if he can pull it down to reach. Anyway, I guess that doesn't really matter. It's, you know, use your imagination when you're a kid. And you know, that was, to me, it was back in the day, it was a cool feature. I never utilized it much during play, but again, it was a cool feature. And the only way they really could have improved this figure, in my opinion, your mileage of course may vary, is to put the spring action in the jaw where you hold it open and it automatically closes up, which the original figure, you know, that was a gimmick that the original figure had, and that's really the only way they could have improved this figure, in my opinion. I hope maybe down the road they do some type of weapons pack that gives us not necessarily repainted versions of the same arm attachments that he comes with now, but some different stuff I think would be cool. So Mattel, if you're watching, I'm sure I'm not the only one who would be interested in a trap jaw weapons pack, or even a Masters of the Universe weapons pack where you could, you know, take some of the stuff that maybe was in the cartoon or whatever and, you know, put it more in the new Eternia aesthetic and then release it as a weapons pack. Like maybe eventually when we get a Roboto, we get a trap jaw / Roboto weapons pack where half of it is trap jaw weapons, half of it is Roboto weapons, and so you have more options to swap out for your display or for photos or whatnot. But this is a great figure. If you only pick up one Masters of the Universe Masterverse figure ever, at least so far in the line, I think this is, I want to say he's probably going to be, he's probably going to be in my top 10 Masters of the Universe for this year. Even though he was a last year figure, of course my top 10 lists only include figures that I review in said year. So he's a contender for the top 10, and at this point he's the front runner for number 1. And that's how much I really like this figure. You know, I really thought when I was a kid, the original I thought was super cool, and they just took this one and cranked it up to 11, and it has all those classic vibes plus the new aesthetic, and it's just really a fantastic figure. I can't say enough good things about it. Well, that does it for the review. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews or just help the channel out further, or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.